Hello friends, a very happy good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the problem of the day series. And today we are going to solve problem number 1639, the number of ways to form a target string given a dictionary from the Leetcode. It has been categorized a hard problem, and to be honest it is a really scary problem. It took me more than 10 minutes to understand what the problem is and what I have to solve. So let's try to understand the problem first. So we had been given a list of strings of the same length. So we have given the string and which is of the same length. So here we'll go the examples together. So we have A, C, C, A, B, 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 and C, A, C, A. So we have the same length of the string. And we have been given a target. So target is right now, say you have been given A, B, A. Now what we have to do is that we have to build this target string using the words given here. Now the target has to be built from left to right. Okay. So this whole thing to ith character and jth character, let me simplify this thing, is that once you have taken a character to make a string, right? So suppose that I have taken this character to form a character in the target. I cannot go back. So that means that I cannot pick any of the characters before this column. Even I cannot pick the characters in the same column. I have to move forward. So the gist is that once you have picked a character, you have to move to the right towards this side. Okay, you cannot move back, you cannot use the same column. So for example, in the same problem we had A, C, C, A, B, 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 C, A, C, A, and I have to form A, B, A. So let's say I have taken this character A. I cannot pick the next character B here, so I am going to make form here A, B, A. I cannot pick this one. So the next one I can take, this is one way. Second one is I can do A, B, A, which is the second one. So for example, like we can take this character. So we can take A, B and A. So that is the third one. And we can also take A, B, A, which is the fourth one. So now how we are going to solve this problem is, so one way is uh, simple, that suppose I have a target, right? So we had a target of here A, B, A, and let's say that I have to make this index, target index, and then I am going to traverse in this array and see if my character is matching with your target index or not. And if it is matching, that means that I have found one possible way of building a target index a target at this index. So now I am going to work on this for the next index, and now my column is going to be start from this position, right? So this is how we are going to search. Let's start some coding. So if my target is null or empty, return 0. Okay, otherwise, now what I'm going to do, as we said that we want to match the target and for a particular index, so let's write down a helper function that matches the increased target index. So let's call it target index, and we also talked about the index at which we have to work on, right? So we will be starting from, say, starting 0 index, and at any given time we are looking at the index of a column. So that means that I should be having a function integer, let's call column index. So when my target index is actually reaching to the end of my target string, so for example I started with here, which is a 0, right, and then you have 1 and then you have 2. So that means that once you've reached at 2 or actually 3, which is target length, that means that you have actually built a target. Means that you have found at least one way to build a target. So that means that if your target index is equal to target dot length return 1. Okay, now in a similar way that the index at which we are working, column at which we are working on, once you reach towards the end, right, that means that you have taken the characters from all the possible columns but still target has not been built. Means that now you cannot build the you that means that you cannot find a way to build target. So in this case, if column index is equal to uh, the column size, which is actually integer length of the word, right, length is equal to words 0 dot length, because all the words have the same length, and 0, and then let's declare integer result is equal to 0, and then for each string word in words. So let's say that I have to, let's find out which character we have to match. So the character that we have to match is character target char is equal to target of target index, right? This is the character that we have to match. So now if now we have to search from, so suppose that I am looking at this particular column, right? So my for loop is going to look for all the columns starting from this particular column till the end of column. So for integer I is equal to column index and I is less than word length plus plus I, and if word of I is not equal to target character, then nothing I have to be done, continue. Otherwise that means that I have found out I am able to match the one character, right? So now let's move forward for the next match. So now integer count is equal to we'll call the same function recursively numphase words target. Now my next column is going to be I plus 1, right, and now target index will be target index plus 1, and this is the number of ways, so result plus equal to count, and we will say return result. Okay, and from here we are going to call the function return number of ways words target column index is 0 and target index is 0. So this is a very brute force recursive way of solving the problem, and let's say if it passes. Okay, so this is working fine for basic cases, and I'm sure that we will hit the TLE for this as expected. Okay, so if you had been watching this until now, I hope that you have liked this video. Please like it, and I will really appreciate if you subscribe it, so that you will be notified whenever I publish a new video, so you don't have to go and search on the Leetcode. Alright, so let's continue with the next approach. So after the brute force recursive, so if I take a look at the column index and target index, it means that we might be solving the same problem for a given column index and a target index. So how about if we cache this value that we have calculated for this particular combination? So one way of solving is like we can create a memoization error. Integer, and let's say that you have words of 0 dot length, so that is basically length of the word, and comma target dot length, right? So this basically map is to your column size, and this is your target length, and then we will initialize this value with -1, plus j, right? And then I'm going to pass this memo into this function, right? Let's pass it at as other places too. All right, so now let's update the result in the memo and return it from memo. So that means that target index this. So from here, now if memo of column index comma target index is not equal to -1, that means that we have actually calculated this value earlier, so we'll just return memo, right? Now at the end, once I have calculated the result, we will save this value result, and yes, and we will return this value. So one thing to note is that it has been mentioned, right? So we have to return the number of ways from target verse modulo. So let's do that. So here what we are going to do is we'll say result is equal to result percentage 10 to the power 9, right? So it is this one, and we convert it to long so that it can hold that value, and then I have to convert this to an integer. This value. So earlier we solved till 40 cases, so hopefully we pass it, or we should be it should be improved. So let's first run it. We missed something. All right, submit. Still taking longer. So Okay, so we reached closer. Earlier, like my test case were failed daily at test case 41. Now we reached further. So 17. Ideally, this should be again good enough to solve. Uh, Now we have to do some optimization here. So one optimization that actually we can do is, since we have to count the number of ways, right? So that means that if I have the same character uh, have been is appearing multiple times, right? So uh, instead of evaluating for every loop, what actually we can do is we can just multiply it with the character count, that how many times that character has been calculated. So this will get rid of this for loop, and hopefully we will be having a better time complexity. So let's see how we'll do that. So uh, we are going to create a first frequency map. So similarly, so you will have integer array frequency is equal to new integer, and what we're going to say, the number of rows is going to be what is the length of uh, each word in words array. So it will be words of 0 dot length, and we have 26 alphabets in this character. Okay, and then for integer I is equal to 0, I is to be less than uh, words dot length plus plus I, and then for integer j is equal to 0 and j is less than words of 0 dot length plus plus I, and then we get the character, right? So character will be your words of I and j, right, which is a character. And if I subtracted the ASCII value from a, I will get the integer that represents this value. So let's say integer current pos is equal to this, and then we will update the frequency. Row is going to be your j comma current pos plus plus, right? So this becomes your frequency, and I'm going to pass this inside the function frequency, inside this recursive function, upgrade the integer array frequency. And okay, so we got these things here. Now let's go ahead and solve this, fix this loop. Okay, so we just remove this whole, let's not remove it, we'll okay. So at this character index that I am targeting, right, target of target index, so integer current pos is equal to target of target index minus a, right? Now I'm going to call this function, recursive function, for the next column, right? So in this case it will be your uh, column index plus 1, and but for the same character, and we'll pass the frequency here and say you get the long result, and let's function return the long. Okay, now we got this value for the next column. Now uh, we are going to use the frequency mapping, so we are going to call the same function again, but now we are going to work on the next column and next target index plus 1, and then we will multiply it with the frequency of the current column index and current pause, right? And make sure that we convert it to long, otherwise we would be having in trouble. It took me lot of time for me to figure out where actually I am screwing my code. Alright, so till here, and then uh, result is equal to this, and we will return that value. Okay, so we have some trouble here. I and then j. Okay, this is plus plus j. Run and then submit the solution. Okay, so this is the recursive with the top-down approach. I believe that we can write down a similar solution from the bottom-up approach. Yeah, and that's the solution for today's. Thanks for watching, and if you have liked this video, please like it and subscribe. It will help me for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you.